podcast for all things strange and unusual, hair-raising and blood-curdling, riveting and ready to rumble, and everything in between. Each episode we get together to chat about something weird, and this episode, of course, is no exception. Today we're going to be investigating an almost ancient urban legend regarding little green children and attempting to determine if it's real or hoax, and we'll also be exploring the spookiness of synchronicities. And if you've listened to our show before, you know that the word spooky is a term of endearment. So don't get it twisted, you freaks. We'll be exploring the spookiness of synchronicities through the eyes of some of our society's most vulnerable populations. And I promise that someday soon, I might stop talking about dolphins. My name is Ashley, and this is my best friend, business partner, and co-host Lauren.
Hi, weirdos. What an intro. And you will never stop talking about dolphins.
Today is not that day.
Never, ever, ever stop talking about dolphins.
I've got to get my dolphin tattoo. I'm going to get a dolphin jumping over a UFO, I think. Cresting.
Wait, will there be ocean waves and then a UFO on top?
Ocean waves.
Because I'm like,
dolphins,
show like where it came from.
UFO
like, I came from the ocean, but look, I go up over the UFO so you can connect me to every part of the I don't know why it became a musical.
Most things do.
I know, me and Amy both tend to make things into musicals. And I'm okay with it.
I haven't heard an original Amy song in so long. I cannot
Has
wait
she not
to record
been doing that?
This month's. No, we ended January's episode with a bibliomancy, so we didn't do a song. Joe hopped on to March's, so I didn't have my Amy, my Amester. And so Amy's back this month. I need a song, man.
If she doesn't give you a song, like, I'm gonna be upset. Like, tell her the fans are rioting in the streets. And when you say fans, it means me.
The fans.
It's just Lauren wanting
the
a
fans.
song. Shout out to Amy Hanselman.
Shout out to Amy Hanselman. If you guys aren't a member of our Patreon, join at www.patreon.com/keepitweirdpodcast. We have hundreds of bonus episodes. We used to do bonus videos. Oh my God. I saw today, I was looking for a really old video on my hard drive today, my old hard drive, my old external. And I found us testing the lighting for when we watched Clown.
We tested the lighting? You know what? You're laughing because, like, we did? Because that wasn't a good quality video.
we literally turned, I think we turned my snake lamp towards us, like heat lamp. We just angled it towards us.
So we were in
complete darkness, yes. I think Mercutio is still alive. Rest in peace, baby.
Yeah, R.I.P. Merc. It was Merc's snake lamp facing us, watching a killer clown. It was also a very disgusting movie.
Such a disgusting movie. I felt like we had a good time. I think, you know what? You tell us. Join our Patreon for $5 or $10, whatever you desire, and you can watch a video of Lauren and I watching a movie called Clown.
By a snake lamp.
Lit via snake lamp. So
that got me good.
That's what happens when you are an indie pod and you're supported by fans like you. All right, let's talk about some weird shit.
We can jump
today.
into it now.
I think Lauren is gonna go first with her. I almost said what it was. This is not my job. This is your job.
Give it away. Don't give it away. Give it away. Give it away. Give it away now. I have a really important question for you. Ashley, get it together.
Oh, yeah, I have to get it together.
I know.
Give me a break.
I had to call someone else out because I was failing. I have a really important question. Is it real or hoax?
Real or hoax? So pumped.
So sad that I'm out of breath from that, but yes, we try our best. Real or hoax? The Green Children of Woolpit.
I know I said this to you before we started recording. This is legitimately another Bog Bodies for me. I have read this headline so many times and went, bookmark it. You got to read about that later. That's crazy. And then just never followed up. So I'm very excited to hear about the Green Children of Woolpit.
Woolpit.
That's got to be in the UK, right? That's in Europe.
Girl, you know.
Girl, you know.
In the county of Suffolk, which, is that how you say it? Nobody knows.
Suffolk.
Suffolk. The Green Children of Woolpit has always been a question of, are they mysterious visitors from beyond or just some medieval myth? So it's a strange story coming out of medieval England.
England.
It is this tale of these green children, a bizarre account that could be folklore, could be mystery. Get out of here, fruit fly. Could be historical fact. But it was first recorded in the 12th century. And
damn,
it's been intriguing for that long. Like, people still to this day, there are skeptics, there are historians who are like, oh, this totally makes sense. And people are all over the map with this. The legend goes that during the reign of King Stephen or possibly King Henry II, depending on the version you hear, which is why it's like, meow, villagers in Woolpit discovered 2 children near a wolf trap, which I learned is why it was called Woolpit. That can be another name for wolf pit, wolf trap. Which also, there were a couple things on the internet that were like, no, like, it's just the name. But most of the things I found were like, no, Woolpit came from like wolf pit, blah, blah, blah. But there were some wolf traps in the town. It was a place of wolves.
Large wolf population. Got it.
There were 2 children discovered near a wolf trap in Woolpit. And it was a brother and a sister, and they were speaking an unknown language, wearing strange clothes, and most incredibly, their skin was green, like Elphaba in Wicked. It wasn't as green as Elphaba, because I feel like that makes it like not as believable. People were just like, it was a green that it was like, you're beyond like what a sick person looks like. Like, obviously we've seen white pale people look green with sickness. This was a green that it was like, oh, I've never seen a green like that before. But I don't want you to be picturing Elphaba in your head, because then you're going to be like, this was pretend. Like, this isn't real.
Was it more like, what's her toes, that cult leader that drank all the colloidal silver?
Yes. Except she was like gray.
Yeah. A pallor, a green pallor, if you will.
Yes. So that is a great example. Oh my gosh, that documentary.
I know. What was that documentary called? Mother God. HBO. Check it out. It's crazy.
Mother God. Watch it if you haven't. So there were 2 famous storytellers, chroniclers, whatever you want to call them, William of Newburgh and Ralph of Coggeshall, who I will get to in a minute. But they were the 2 most famous people who talked about this story. So basically, like, I'm going to tell the crossover of both of their stories because they had like slightly different accounts. But the children showed up. They were green. They were taken in by a local landowner, Sir Richard de Calne, and they refused to eat any food offered to them until they were given raw beans. And they weren't able to communicate because they were speaking in this language nobody understood. But finally it was like, oh, raw beans, great. And everyone was like, oh,
okay.
To each their own, I guess, you know. But they were very into it, and finally were eating because they were like skin and bone. Nobody knew what to do. So eventually they, after eating raw beans for weeks and weeks, they eventually were able to start trying new things and adapted to a normal diet. So like then I think over like a year and a half, they kind of got on a regular human diet.
A regular human diet.
I'm just saying raw beans only isn't healthy for anyone. I'm not judging eating raw beans. If you do it, I mean, I want to hear more, but it's okay. So eventually they started eating a balanced diet. I'll say that instead. That's less judgmental. And their green tint faded. The boy, sadly though, became very sick and he died. He was too malnourished. Even though he was starting to adapt to the new diet, it still wasn't enough. He wasn't quite eating the normal amount required, and they didn't know how to communicate with him, so he died of malnourishment. And I mean, this is the 12th century. Like, nobody knew what to do for him. Even when he did fall ill, it was like, we'll put a cold rag on his forehead and
put leeches on his stomach and a potato on the bottom of his feet.
Dip your toes. Yeah, right. And it wasn't enough. So he did die, unfortunately, but the girl survived and eventually learned English over time. And she was eventually able to share her version of events after learning the language, saying she came from a place called St. Martin's Land. It was a twilight world where the sun never fully shined and everything was green, including everyone's skin that surrounded her. She was from a family of green, surrounded by a green environment, and the sun was never fully shining. It was always in a state of like almost down, like we're at dusk. What the? Twilight Land. So, I wanted to get into briefly like the two distinct sources, those storytellers, chronicle men that I mentioned earlier. One was William of Newburgh. He was a 12th century historian who collected stories about revenants. And then there was Ralph of Coggeshall, who was a monk of Coggeshall Abbey. And neither of them knew each other, would never have crossed over each other, and were kind of from different not even eras, but like at least like 5 years apart from each other, but like may have known some of the same people, but otherwise like did not run in similar circles.
So like one was a millennial and one was Gen X?
Correct.
Okay.
That's a great way to put it. They didn't know about the other's material. They didn't know of each other. Of course, you could say maybe there was overlap in those years in between where, you know, they had a mutual friend, but they shouldn't have known about each other's material, but these were the things that they both said. It was Richard de Calne who took the green children in. William said the children were unable to explain how they arrived in Woolpit, but they had been attending to their father's livestock when an unexplained loud noise occurred that sounded like the St. Edmund's Abbey bells.
Yeah, of course. I know exactly what that sounds like.
I know the St. Edmund's Abbey bells.
Bum, 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 bum. Sounds like my dad's grandfather clock.
That's what every grandfather clock sounds like. And have I told you that's what our doorbell sounds like? And it wasn't our choice. We just moved in and our doorbell goes dee 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 dee. And Wilder's like, if you ever change it, I will kill you.
Oh, great.
Like he's
So it's stuck
obsessed with
forever.
it. And I'm like, I wish it would make any other sound. Anyway, so we have the St. Edmund's Abbey bells as our doorbell.
As our doorbell. We are rich people. Thank you very much.
I used to think that was wealth as a kid, so it is kind of fun in that way.
Oh, yeah. A custom doorbell was like, okay, is your dad a doctor? What's happening?
Yeah, I know, like, are we surgeons? Like, what is going on? So, tending to their father's livestock, an unexplained loud noise occurred. It sounded like the Abbey bells, and then they found themselves near the wolf pit where they were later discovered. Then Ralph's version has it that the children got lost while following their father's cattle into a cave, so like livestock crossover. And then they used the sound of bells as a guide because they heard them and they were like, oh, we know this is close to home. Followed the bells out, came out of the cave, and they were like, oh, we're in a town now. This isn't the town we thought it was going to be, but we're in a town. We followed the bells. So it's like bells and livestock are in both stories, but just one of them is a little more like we were with cows and then we weren't, and the other one is like we journeyed through a cave. Yeah, so those are the differences.
To me, one of those stories is they got snapped into a different dimension in the first story, and in the second story they crawled out from Middle Earth.
Yes, but in both ways they traveled
through something.
Yeah, it feels like a portal was involved, like some kind of time travel a little bit.
Maybe time travel.
Lots of theories could be born of this, but the overlaps, once again, is that this was harvest time in the 12th century. A young boy and girl were found in wolf pits surrounding the village of Woolpit. Both children were siblings, and the girl was the elder of the two. Both stories said that. In addition to their skin being green, they also both had bright green eyes. The two children were found dressed in a style very uncommon for the 12th century. That is important to note. Everyone was like, what are you wearing?
Who are you wearing?
Who are you wearing today? Green Kids of Woolpit.
Prada?
Prada.
Michael Kors?
Gucci. They were in foreign materials, nothing the villagers had ever seen before, not historical, not of present time. Both children were very frightened and very unable to comprehend what was going on. They didn't know the language. They didn't know where they were. They were just in a totally different world.
Alien.
Both looked malnourished initially, but despite their obvious hunger, they wouldn't consume any food besides the raw beans when they were finally offered. Neither sibling knew how they ended up there. Both, like in either story, whether it was through the cave or sudden snap, both stories were saying that they were so confused how their location changed so quickly. And the girl, even though the brother died young, the sister lived her entire life out, as far as we know, adapted to living language, her homeland. But we don't know a lot about exactly where she ended up. And that's kind of where people are like, oh, well, then this is just a myth. But again, both storytellers, being years apart from each other and not having overlap for any reason, had very similar stories and information, all saying these same facts. So I just wanted to show you some of the overlap. But of course, you can be skeptical, and you should be, because like everything, it's crazy that these two stories overlapped, and it's crazy that like so many people have lived to even tell this story today. Like there are a lot of historians who are like, yes, the green kids were real, and there are cases for reality that like people today can point to, because you could be like, why are you even buying into this? Like 12th century, sure, but today, why? So I do want to point to briefly like the case for reality, this being a real event and not just storytelling, is a lot of people believe these could be Flemish immigrants, because during that time there was a Flemish community in Eastern England. And a lot of scholars think that the kids might have gotten lost after their parents died in local conflict that was happening at the time. And they could have been speaking Flemish or just some heavily accented dialect. I mean, they were pretty young, and the locals just weren't able to understand. The strange clothing and language might have seemed alien to the people in the area, to the rural villagers, but their green skin could have been malnutrition. I mean, as we saw with Mother God, like certain things that you're ingesting or not ingesting, I mean, if you're unhealthy enough, can turn your skin a different color. And there is a condition called chlorosis, which is known as the green sickness, that is caused by iron deficiency. And there is a huge chance they were not getting enough iron.
Totally.
I don't think they were eating much at all. So the clothing, like both storytellers were stating that the clothing did not feel modern or like anything they had ever seen, definitely not 12th century. That part is a little strange, because both of the accounts that then led to, you know, all the rumors are like, it was futuristic clothing. We didn't know what to do with it. So that part is a little like, maybe it was just Flemish clothing.
Flemish immigrant
but
children
I
lost
don't,
in the
but it's
woods?
also like we have like some Flemish history that I would think is like pointing to no, but I don't know. So that part is still weird, the clothing, but like the malnutrition, the chlorosis, the green sickness, that could have all been there. And they mentioned St. Martin's Land being where they are from. And this could be a little bit of a confused reference in a language barrier, because there is a Flemish village dedicated to St. Martin.
Okay.
It's called something different, but it is dedicated to him. And the Twilight world could just describe being in like a dense forest, which is that area where they could be from. If they're in this Flemish village dedicated to St. Martin, it is very dense in forestry, and you don't see all the light. It's always partial light that's coming in. So it's like, ooh, we're in eternal twilight. So if you're wanting to explain it away, there you go.
There you go.
However, there are still all the other things that like seem a little bit weird. I know it is like so cliche and like stereotypical alien to say that creatures are green, and like we have no idea what
Right.
anything from another planet could look like. And I know we've talked about aliens in like every way they could exist, but it is just a little strange that it's like these green people who don't speak a language anybody has heard. Their clothing seems futuristic. They don't know how they randomly appeared here. They live in a land of eternal twilight. Like, there are still a lot of things that make me say, is it real or hoax? I don't know. I
definitely would say.
I know there's holes to poke in it.
Definitely. Well, I mean, here's the thing. It happened in the 12th century, so who's to fucking say?
I know.
I
really know.
I love both ideas. I love the idea of two little like gray aliens from planet Weebank showing up and then being like, look at these weird fucking kids. And it's like, oh,
what color are they?
And they're just like two little ETs, just like, vote home.
And they're like,
and
what
they're
the
like,
fuck?
These children look crazy. But I also like the idea of just like two little like immigrant children coming to town and them being like, where could these things be from? This is not a language I know.
So this is just me saying it's fun to believe these could absolutely have just been very, very ill children. You tell me.
You tell me, internet.
But I like this story a lot because it has been 800 years and people still to this day, not even just like being funny, are like, no, the children of Woolpit like is very real. They came to our town. Like, people fully believe this. So I thought it was worth bringing up because I think a lot of people listening to this are going to be like, they were just some sick kids.
Some sick kids came out of the woods, and I don't know why we're talking about it 800 years later.
But I love England being like, no.
Aren't there little like monuments to them in Woolpit?
Probably. It's something I should know, actually.
Well, I don't actually know. I can like envision a sign or something, or like a marker.
I know. I didn't like immediately find anything.
Okay, I could be just making it up in my head.
There are art pieces, it looks like, that are in some museums, but no statues.
Okay, well, all right.
Ooh, there is a sign in Woolpit. Because it's such a small town, I think there's only like 2 signs. It's one of those like iron, like all black signs that just says like, welcome to Woolpit.
Welcome to Woolpit. One time we found 2 green kids here.
Welcome to Woolpit, where the green kids come.
It's the only thing we're famous for. Forgive us.
But kind of.
That's all we have.
It doesn't say this, but literally I can't wait for you to like insert this photo, because it's just like a tree or a building, a wolf on one side, and on the other 2 kids holding hands. And they're like, wolves in a pit and kids who are green. And that is it!
And that's all we have.
But there are art pieces hanging in some of the museums that show the green children like running through a field. It looks like they're trying to escape, and it's them like running to Woolpit. So everybody has their versions, but this is like a whole ass thing. This is what I'm saying, is there is art.
It's a local legend, man.
Local legend. But some people are like, they were fucking real, and don't ever just eat raw beans, or you're going to be green.
I've never had a raw bean.
I don't want to eat raw beans. I actually don't like beans. Nobody come for me. Actually, you're allowed to come for me, but I don't.
I eat quite a few beans because they're, good for protein. I eat like chickpeas and stuff. But I will say, not my favorite food.
No. I don't like the texture.
Yeah, I don't like how flimsy their shells are and how mushy their insides are. Like, that's a problem. But
my sister always says like butter and salted lima beans are like God's gift to earth. And she's like, you're not doing Thanksgiving right if you don't have like buttery lima beans. And I'm like, how were we raised in the same household? Like, you were clearly raised by the children of Woolpit.
From the woods of Woolpit, bitch.
Because I am like lima bean texture is the worst.
Lima
of the
bean is
texture.
probably the
Come
worst
for me.
texture.
Come for me. Come for me. Because I hate them.
They're also a big bean. I prefer some. What about chickpeas?
I'll have them in a salad. That's it.
Okay, that's fair.
And hummus, obviously. But again, I change the consistency.
It's the consistency. Got it. What about peas?
No, fuck peas. Even though I make my son eat them. I know.
You dirty
I am
little
saying
bitch.
I'm wrong. I'm saying I'm wrong. I am the dumb bitch. I'm wrong. Because I make my son eat them and most people love them.
Anyways.
Continue, Ashley.
Well, I have a new segment.
I forgot. I'm so excited.
Okay, you're going to have to do me a favor. Imagine really quick that I have a big fuzzy top hat on.
Fuzzy?
Fuzzy.
Okay.
Okay. This show's made of super synchronicities. We always seem to sync up with each other because there is no self, even when we are earthbound. I promise I'll never do that again, but I had to do it just the one time.
Why would you ever promise that? I'm the most happy. Okay, everyone, listen, because we were just talking about Amy singing. I sing a lot on this show.
I don't usually sing.
I never get to hear Ashley sing.
There's a reason for that. So
I loved that so much. And I was like shimming through the whole thing. It almost sounded like a Jonas Brothers song too. So that made it even better.
Well, it wasn't. It was Jamiroquai, but we'll get to that later. I do think that the synchronicities and the strange entanglements involving our show, the research we do for our show, the bibliomancy and tarot readings we do, and on top of that, the many connections our listeners have in their lives in regards to our show deserve to be acknowledged. So I created a new segment. It could be long, like it will be today, or in future episodes, it could be just very short, just one little instance of it happening. I just want to collect them like little trinkets, okay?
Because it does happen so often.
It happens so often. And I'm constantly blown away by how many of our themes and episodes end up building on each other, sometimes within the same episode.
I know. It's crazy how much that
It's really wild. So this is our first Super Synchronicities segment, and I'm going to list a couple things that we have covered, discussions we've had, and we can take stock of what seem to be recent, repeating, recurring messages. I think this is a great way to, one, document the synchronicity in our lives, and two, a great example for people on what synchronicities are, what they could mean, and how to build on them.
Here for it.
Moving forward. I'm going to start with our bibliomancy special from October, which is available exclusively to our patrons. So I apologize to anyone who isn't cool enough to be a patron of our show, but www.patreon.com/keepitrealpodcast.
Ooh, embarrassing for you.
During our bibliomancy episode, there were 4 of us on that episode. We all each did readings for each question with the books that we had at our disposal. And we had a very interesting answer when we asked about the afterlife. We asked if there was an afterlife and what it was like. We each got really strange answers, and they were all referring to levels, going down, going up, traversing some kind of plane. So put a pin in that.
Okay.
Fast forward to this season, Bog Bodies, 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 where we discussed my favorite topic of all time, dolphins being sentient. Obviously, we've been obsessed with that ever since. We had a lot of themes repeat from that episode. In episode 4, Banana Brothers, like Amy's message from Spirit that told us to get outside and touch grass, stop giving so much time to this technological world that's meaningless, and get back to the basics of humanity so we can ascend spiritually.
Wasn't there tummy brain? Are you getting to that? Sorry.
No, but we do have to mention that. I can't believe both of you mentioned gut brain in one episode. Separate recordings.
You were like, Amy said, did you know you can connect your tummy and brain? And I was like, what?
Bitch, we just talked about it.
We could have talked about that 1,000 times. We just talked about it. It was so crazy.
I know, I even told her when she said it, I was like, you're going to shit your pants. Lauren literally talks about it in the episode that I'm dropping this segment into.
It's insane. Okay.
It's crazy. So, put a pin in that as well. Also, in the dolphin episode, I told the story of Douglas Webster, who goes by Dolphinus now. We're not going to talk about that nickname. But I told the story of Douglas Webster and his experience with the severely autistic girl that he took to swim with the dolphins. If you recall, she sent him a telepathic message thanking him for giving her that experience, but also, and I quote, that her spirit was a light worker that chose to incarnate into a body that was physically and mentally disabled so that her consciousness would be completely free from any distractions to focus on this higher frequency light work she was here to do. Put a huge motherfucking pin in this because I just listened to the telepathy tapes.
Oh my God. Stop it. All right.
Have you listened to the
No.
telepathy tapes? Okay.
No, I'm like I have chills all over my body though, because I'm so excited for what you're about to say.
Get on your podcast apps. We don't recommend other podcasts often. Not because we're petty, just because I don't really listen to a lot of other podcasts.
I don't either. I used to have a commute and I don't anymore, and that's the only reason. I'm sorry.
Commute, yeah. No, but I listen to like My Brother and Me, Conan Needs a Friend. I listen to like comedy podcasts.
Las Culturistas.
Which I do think people will like. Yeah, Las Culturistas. Yeah, exactly. But like, I don't really listen to strange stuff. There's a podcast. It's a 10-episode series. It's called The Telepathy Tapes. It's produced by a documentary film director named Ky Dickens, and it investigates claims of telepathy and other paranormal abilities in non-speaking individuals with autism.
Wow.
5 or so years ago, Ky teamed up with Diane Hennessy Powell. Diane is a neuropsychiatrist whose focus is on consciousness. She's been in communication with several families for over a decade, studying their nonverbal autistic children. She even wrote a book. It's called The ESP Enigma. It came out in 2008. It was very well received by academics and clinicians, but 2 years later, in 2010, the Oregon Medical Board suspended her medical license.
Why?
Because of the book.
Oh.
Because some other psychiatrist, unnamed as far as I know, told the medical board that she had written a book on ESP and she must be a fucking psycho. So her license was revoked for this book.
No.
And in order to have her license restored, 1, she had to undergo psychiatric testing, which I'm sure was very humiliating. And 2, she had to convince the medical board to actually read her book and show all of her research was sound. Like, all the research is there. She's not just farting on the page. Yeah.
So she had to like do triple, quadruple the research she had already done.
Bankrupt herself.
Yeah, let me prove this even further than I already did for this book. I'm not just talking down my ass. I am on fire for this woman.
Rough stuff.
That is infuriating.
Her license was restored because they saw the research, determined she's not a psycho, and they restored her license. But it was at that point in 2010 that she was like, fuck you, fuck the medical community, fuck the psychiatric community. This stuff is real, and I'm going to dedicate my career to consciousness and autistic savants, and I'm going to collect so much data that the world is going to have to notice.
I love that.
And that's what she's doing. So last year was the premiere of the telepathy tapes. And what they would like to prove, or at least have the world acknowledge, is that there is enough evidence to show that some, if not all, nonverbal autistic children and adults have the capability to communicate through telepathic means.
That's crazy.
So you hear that and you go, okay, well, no. Obviously not. That's not a thing.
That can't be.
But this podcast is a collection of parents and teachers and friends of autistic children, the people that spend the most time with them, and the experiences that they've had with their children that are completely unexplainable. And the podcast also consists of telepathic tests that they put the children through with their full cooperation to determine if they are being truthful about their abilities. And sure enough, with almost 100% accuracy. These kids are computing numbers by random number generators. They are processing images and texts without seeing them with their eyes, and they are guessing the correct number and color on entire decks of Uno cards. And this is based on thousands of reports. And not only that, not only is it like, I can guess Uno cards, some of these kids can speak multiple languages despite having never been taught. They can play instruments despite having never been taught. And this is what's known as savant syndrome. It's well documented outside the world of nonverbal folks.
Yeah.
And accepted in the scientific community.
Always been accepted. Yeah, we've talked about this before. So it's sort of like, okay.
Yeah, I and Ky and Diane find really interesting that is accepted.
But not from these
But
kids.
this is just completely, absolutely not. There's no way.
Just swept away, because it's like there's no chance if they're nonverbal.
These families are completely convinced their children have these abilities, not just because they can guess cards, like I said, but a lot of them have had their children read their minds. Some of them communicate with their parents and teachers telepathically on the reg. Some of them communicate through their dreams.
Oh.
And some of them, a lot of them, communicate via spelling, which is a tool used in the autism world in which a facilitator will hold a letter board and allow the children to spell out words by pointing to the individual letters.
Yeah.
And I'm going to speak more on letter boards and spelling in the end, because I have a criticism section of the telepathy tapes, so I'll touch on that again. So don't think I'm here just being like, it's real, like I've got the arguments at the end.
I'm already like very fascinated though. Yeah, just knowing about that. All right,
here's where, to me, it's the most interesting, and I feel like not enough people are paying attention to this portion of it. To give you an idea of what these severely autistic children are saying, it's not just yes and no answers to questions being given to them by speaking adults. They are communicating extremely esoteric information that their parents and teachers are not versed in. These are normies. They are not woo-woo. Some of them are barely spiritual. And yet their children are saying things like what Anthony said, and I'll read it to you here. He said via a letterboard, via his spelling, I am a futuristic human being. I came into this world with my eyes wide open. I am a pure, transparent soul here to help humanity evolve. I remember what most people have forgotten, and I am in tune with the vibrational frequencies and can match specific frequencies to access and transfer thought forms into words. This ability also allows me to communicate interdimensionally.
Well, what? What are you even gonna do with that? Like, how old was this person who said this?
Anthony at the time, I want to say, was a teenager.
Even so.
Yeah.
The fuck?
This is a person who can't speak.
And then says the most intense spiritual phrase you've ever heard in your life, and just using these long words, and you're like, I didn't know you could say hello.
Yeah, I didn't even know you could say hi, Mom.
What? I mean, what did the parents do? Like, I don't know if you have record of this, but I'm just like, I would have a panic attack.
At first, truly did. Like, most of these parents,
shocked.
Most of these parents, and I'll kind of get to this when I get to like talking about the letter boards again, but most of these parents went most of these children's lives with having zero communication with them.
Right.
No,
it's like you're using signs, like anything you can. The letter boards, like sign language.
Yeah.
That's like where, like, what I know, and when you said the letter boards, that's why I kind of gave like is because like I'm learning that even just at preschool age, like if we have nonverbal kids, we're like trying to learn sign language and anything we can to communicate. And obviously in preschool, it's like newly discovering that they're even nonverbal to begin with. It's like, oh, do they just have a speech delay? Whatever. That's not relevant, but I'm just like so curious. Like, what
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with a lot of these children, and this is something that people don't often know about, like nonverbal autism, a lot of people think it's an intellectual disability,
It's not
that they
at
are
all.
mentally and intellectually
They're actually usually very intelligent.
usually very intelligent. The problem is when you are that severely autistic, you do not have control over your motor functions, your fine motor skills, or your larger motor skills. You cannot even use the muscles and the functions of your body to formulate speech.
A way to speak, yeah.
So we are having to find ways to communicate with them because they physically can't communicate with us.
Because they can't do it, yeah.
So Anthony goes on to say, like, his abilities that he has are abilities that humanity is going to evolve into. He says that we're going to all be moving forward with this new form of telepathic communication. It's a necessary evolutionary step, and that people will, over time, become more intuitive, multidimensional, and interdimensionally wired. Multidimensional and interdimensional in this case refers to the way we interact with all of the invisible energies around us. Anthony claims that he can use this energy around us to access information, just like mediums do when they use their gifts. And he's not the only one. A lot of other children have talked about these other dimensions that they can access through vibrational frequencies. They've also touched a lot on collective consciousness as well.
Ooh, which we love to hear about.
It ties in so many ideas that we've ruminated on over the years.
Yes, of course.
Vibrations, frequencies, dimensions, life after death being another plane of existence, and not like a heaven or a hell, but more like just on Earth, on this planet, another
plane, yeah,
dimension,
another way to exist.
But not only that, it also touches on nonverbal and telepathic communication, and literally specifically nonverbal autistic children being light workers, which we just talked about. So it was so crazy when I started listening to this podcast. Hi weirdos, it's Ashley here, and I'm living my best life on this drizzly April evening, and it's time for another Witches Forecast with Laura LaRue. Laura, how's the weather up north?
Thanks, Ashley. It's been a hell of a cosmic storm the last few weeks with these eclipses and retrogrades, but I'm happy to report we've got some clear skies and witchy vibes ahead. So let's take a look at the next 4 weeks. Tomorrow, we are back with a full moon in Libra. No eclipse this time. This full moon, the pink moon, is here to bring balance and beauty after the chaos of the last 4 weeks, and I say let her. Let's move ahead to the next week, where we find our feet returning to solid ground as we enter Taurus season on Saturday the 19th. With the energy from slow and steady Taurus combining with the waning moon, you may find yourself digging in your heels and not wanting to stray much from your usual routine. However, once the new moon arrives on the 27th, prepare for major motivation to come your way. This momentum will carry us into May and into the witchy holiday Beltane. That's right, May 1st is Beltane, or May Day. So dust off that maypole, stoke your fires. It's a day for celebration. Should be a lot of fun. Back to you, Ashley.
Thanks, Laura. For real though, there's rain in the forecast every day this week.
It's a wet time.
Wet. The ducks in my yard are loving it though, so good for them.
I'm with the ducks, honestly.
I love it. And I love, you know what? I have not been loving the tornadoes.
Yeah, that I could do without. Traded earthquakes for tornadoes. Not a fan. But that's okay. While things are bad down here on Earth, we can always look to the skies. We can look to the stars.
That's true. We can look to the stars.
Maybe find some solace there, or at least a little distraction.
I like what you were saying about the motivation that's coming, because I could use some of that.
Well, that's not for a few weeks, so I hope you can hang on until then.
I can, because it's Aries season. I'm in Aries. I should be coming to life right now.
I was going to say, Aries is such like a fiery, confident, like, talks a lot, but yeah, no.
Yeah! Wow, you nailed it. You nailed it. Fiery, confident. Well, second one is iffy. Fiery and talks a lot, though.
There you go.
Bada bing. And I married a Leo, What a nightmare.
Guess what I am?
Woo! Fire and fire.
Have you had a good Aries season? Have you felt any different?
Yes. I've been having just like a rough year, which, like, here's the thing. Aren't
Who
we all?
isn't?
Yeah, it's a fucking nightmare on Earth right now. But just like health problems, and I just haven't been able to like enjoy myself. But I usually get really, really bummed on my birthday. I don't know why. It's never like anything I even find important.
Yeah.
And I didn't get any of that this year.
I love
And that was
that.
such a pleasant little treat.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good, I'm glad. Little
Yeah.
something's looking up then.
Something better.
Yeah, right. Well, last month was definitely chaotic. I'm sure you weren't the only one feeling that a little bit. It's a little shaky. It was 2 eclipses. We had the lunar and the solar eclipse at the end of the month. There was Mercury in retrograde, which we talked about on the last witchy forecast.
Felt that.
There was also Virgo in retrograde that happened towards the end of the month. That's all getting done with. So that is going
Good.
away. We're leaving it behind. Thank God.
Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you, retrograde.
Get out.
Jesus.
April and the beginning of May look a little more stable. It's that solid ground that we're looking for. So let's break that down a little bit.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, we've got another full moon. Love a full moon. Should be peaking around 7:22 for us here in the Midwest. She's a full moon in Libra. And what that means for us is maybe a bit more sensitivity, maybe some
Oh, boy.
romance, epiphanies about yourself and your relationships. Libra is a sign that represents others, but this is happening still in Aries season, and Aries is a sign that represents self. So when I was talking about
Interesting.
balance in the forecast, this is kind of what I was referring to. It's a little bit contrasting right now. This full moon is going to shine lights on our relationships, typically with our significant others, but not necessarily. It could be a friend or a family member, and it's going to have you reflect on what it takes to maintain those relationships. Libra is asking you to compromise and negotiate, while Aries is asking you to be assertive and stay aware of your needs. Again, it's not easy doing those two things.
Delicate balance.
Yes. Definitely look for balance. There's going to be some conflict there, but nothing you listeners shouldn't be able to overcome. Look for that balance and what you need and the needs of your partner. It's an excellent time for spells and meditations for love and healing. Plus, it's a full moon, so make your moon water, charge your crystals.
Howl.
All that good full moon stuff. You howl at the moon?
Well, I told this story on the podcast about something I got made fun of when I was in 3rd grade. Yeah.
I believe you're a werewolf. I could see it. You've got the shaggy hair for it.
Listen, I got the body hair for it too. I'm Italian.
This moon is also sometimes referred to as the pink moon.
That's adorable.
I myself will probably be doing a ritual bath for self-love on this full moon. Pink rose petals, rose oil, rose quartz. Pink is the color of self-love. So I'm going to incorporate that into a ritual bath. If you have seen any of my Witchy Wednesdays, I do a lot of ritual baths. So if you're looking for some inspiration, definitely go back and watch those.
I do a lot of regular baths.
I don't know what a regular bath is anymore.
I for sure could be incorporating more magic into my bath times.
I mean, for me, it's just candles. I definitely put some herbs in. They can be a pain in the ass, though. So I actually get biodegradable tea bags from Amazon and then load my herbs in there, because I used to put loose herbs in, and
that's a mess.
It's a mess. You are instantly unrelaxed the second you get out of your tub. It looks like a crime scene. So I try to keep it.
It really does.
Nice and contained. But if you don't even want to go to the trouble of getting herbs, just essential oils, don't go too nuts with it, but a couple of drops can go a long way. And yeah, for a self-love bath, I'm going to focus on harmony within, so that I can put that into my relationships. I like to follow RuPaul's advice. If you don't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love someone else? So
can I get an amen?
Amen. God, I love RuPaul. So 1 week later, after our full moon, next week on April 19th,
We are saying goodbye to Aries season. So sorry. And we are entering Taurus
I'm so
season. It's an earth
Yay.
sign.
Taurus is another bull, right?
Yeah, Taurus is a bull.
And Aries is a ram.
I think so, yeah.
So just two horns back to back, two horned, hooved creatures back to back.
They seem like they'd be friends.
Or frenemies.
Well, Taurus season is a time to be more present, mindful, and to revel in harmonious moments that insist you soak up the changing world around you with all 5 senses. You may find yourself moving slowly, more deliberate, not wanting to be rushed. There's a sense of focus on fulfillment rather than the need to meet a deadline, which I'm all about.
Yeah.
Luxuriating in the moment. It sounds very, very nice after I feel like what's been a couple months of just go, go, go. This is going to be a nice time to kind of take it slow. And you may find yourself a little more set in your ways. And honestly, that could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing. That kind of just depends on you.
And your ways.
Yeah, no, it depends on you and your ways.
I love it. Can't wait for my friend the bull.
A few weeks after that, on May 1st, we've got the witchy celebration of Beltane.
Beltane.
Or some people call it May Day, but May 1st, Beltane is a Gaelic festival with pagan roots that's still celebrated in Ireland and Scotland, and honestly all around the world, but that's where it's really, really big. This is where we get that maypole. Everybody has probably seen a maypole. It's the big stick coming out of the ground, people wrapping ribbons around it. It looks like a lot of fun. Midsommar kind of ruined it, or made it better.
Midsommar made it more interesting, for sure.
That's for sure. It's a day that celebrates fertility and prosperity. We are at peak spring. It's the halfway point between spring and summer. And if you can't wrap a maypole in celebration, bonfires are a big way to celebrate, and either outdoors or maybe in your fireplace at home, or honestly just lighting a bunch of candles on your altar is a great way to bring that fire into your life. It's burning away the last bits of winter, the last bits of cold, fully embracing the heat of the summer. It also was a day that people believed, well, fertility is a big theme, and women looking to get pregnant often would jump over the fires. So, I mean, if you're looking for that, you know what to do. And if you're not looking for that, don't jump over any fires, please.
Avoid fires.
It's dangerous in many ways. Flowers are plentiful right now, so flower wreaths, garlands, crowns are a big symbol for this holiday. Bring your flowers in, light some fires, wrap a tree in ribbons.
Run naked through the woods.
Yes.
Float above the branches of the trees.
If you can.
And give your soul to Black Phillip. Just to tell you how weird my fucking life is. My high school, Centralia High School, every May has May Fete. We have a coronation, dancing, and a maypole that we wrap.
What?
And it is one of the biggest events in our town. Everyone comes. There's 2 full nights of it. There's a May Queen that gets crowned. It started in 1922.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so my whole life I've been involved in a Beltane celebration, but I had no idea. We weren't taught the history of it. It was just the school tradition. I thought every high school did May Fete.
I kind of wish every high school did. That's so fun.
It's a blast. They still do it to this day.
That's awesome. So some Beltane correspondence. For crystals, you can have tiger's eye, carnelian, or emeralds. If you're looking for florals, tulips, mint, rosemary, hawthorn. The corresponding colors for this day are brown, green, white, and yellow. And if you're just looking to burn some incense, go for frankincense or jasmine, mint, or rose.
Honestly, I thought I was an autumn. I might be a spring.
Really?
Well, everything you listed was just...
Yes.
Lovely. Yes. Like, everything you listed was like, yes, 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 yes. And then it was funny because you got to brown, green, white, and yellow. And I was like, ugh, except that. Look at what I'm wearing.
Brown, green, white, and yellow.
Jesus. Well,
you know what? I'm shocked by this development of you being a spring, but I see it. You know what? Welcome.
Listen,
It looks good on you.
we can always change our stripes. Okay, well, it's starting to drizzle again here in the Midwest.
Oh no.
We hope you guys have a dry April, and we'll see you again in May. This has been your witchy weather forecast. Back to you, ladies, that keep it weird. So, to continue with the synchronicities portion of this segment,
Yep.
I've had 3 major ones while listening to this podcast. One, obviously, the dolphin story from 2 episodes ago. Wah wah wee wah.
Crazy.
I just learned about it, and then all of a sudden,
Baba Booey.
Baba Booey, listen to telepathy tapes. Holy shit. It's just expanding on that story. 2, this one was like, okay. 2, the next synchronicity I had in regards to this. According to a lot of these children, they all communicate with each other telepathically. And not just when they're in the same room with each other. They also all supposedly meet up in a place that some of them call the Hill.
Pardon?
To converse with each other on another plane of consciousness.
What?
Yeah. These children will like get home from school. They will go in their room alone. They'll like put a blanket over their head and like meditate almost and like go hang with their friends.
Oh my, that's the dream.
Some of them call this place Lollipop Land. Some of them don't have a name for it. A lot of them call it the Hill. Now, I just read John Wyndham's The Chrysalids, which was written in 1955. The Chrysalids is about a post-nuclear apocalypse civilization wherein the protagonist is a young boy who can communicate telepathically with a handful of other gifted children in his small religious community, and they oftentimes will meet up on a hill in their brains. I got that book for Christmas.
On a hill.
On a hill.
In their brains.
In their brain.
It was written in the 50s.
It was written in 1950.
You just got it for Christmas.
I just got it for Christmas.
And now you're reading about this story?
Not only that, on March 24th, 2025. What was that? A week and a half ago?
Yeah. Well, it just happened. Yeah.
I got a book list emailed to me from the Losers Club, the Stephen King podcast I'm on.
Shout out.
And the Chrysalids is on the list as one of our options for this year.
That's not a thing, Ashley. You're a liar and a dirty thief. Ashley doesn't tell truths on this show because there's no way anybody would have recommended that book out of nowhere.
Not fucking kidding. I was like, oh my God.
That's actually insane. What?
Not even the craziest one, though. Finally, 3.
Oh my God.
My final synchronicity. Technically, no. There's one more at the end that I'm saving. But for this portion, 3. When I was typing up all of my notes for this episode, I literally had 12 minutes left of the final episode of the telepathy tapes. I type up my notes. I type up all of my thoughts. I create this synchronicity segment, whatever. So I get in my car to drive home. I turn on those last 12 minutes of the telepathy tapes, final episode, episode 10. And if you think I'm fucking kidding, at minute 29 and 50 seconds out of 40 of this final episode, the mother of a boy named Daniel, her name is Connie, popped on to share some of Daniel's messages, one of which is this: pay attention to synchronicities.
Well, pack it up, because if we're not paying attention to the things that have just happened to Ashley alone, I'm like, Ashley and I have already had synchronicities like in our friendship, in this podcast, but the like week and a half that you just experienced,
It's been a week and a half.
Oh my God.
According to Daniel, the more you pay attention to synchronicities, the more you are open to this, the more you observe these synchronicities with pure wonder and awe, the closer you will be to accessing these gifts yourself. As far as I can recall, listening to the whole season, this was the only time synchronicities were even brought up on the show. So
Really?
I literally almost wrecked my car. Like, I was like,
I would have crashed. I would be in a ditch, like on the Illinois streets.
wrote my whole synchronicity segment. Beep, 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 beep.
Like you had just typed up your notes and he says that. Are you kidding me?
And I get in my car and I turn it on. It's like, pay attention to synchronicities.
Pay attention to synchronicities.
Like, he might as well have said, pay attention to synchronicities, Ashley Cassidy of Walnut Hill, Illinois.
Correct. Because, like, this is what you've been studying and researching the whole week. And I feel like when we were both watching Hellier, didn't we? I don't
We both
remember
had
exactly what they were,
synchronicities.
but we had synchronicities while we were both watching it. And then, like, when we record or text each other or whatever, we were having these weird synchronicity moments. So I'm just like, it is never coincidence in my brain. Again, believe what you want. But to me, I am like, that's synchronicity. That's not coincidence. It is not just happenstance. I think these things happen for a reason because we are watching a very specific documentary about synchronicity. It didn't even set out to be about synchronicity, but it was. And we were having them. I was like freaked out, but also thought it was amazing.
Cool. Yeah. Exciting.
It also confirmed that it was like Ashley is my podcast partner forever, like in these reasons, because we've had that even in silly ways. I feel like we'll be like, oh, we kind of have similar stories, or we said like the weird same line, you know?
No, it happens all the time with us, and it happens all the time with our show.
I know.
And
it's very weird. Why did our lamps both go off?
Both of our lamps broke. I used to, and by used to, I mean like still to this day, but like starting now, I'm going to change my ways. But I usually, when I encounter a synchronicity, I sort of just take it as confirmation that like I'm on the right path.
I do
like
the
it
same.
feels good. Yeah, like when it happens, I'm like, oh, okay, I am supposed to be in Champaign, Illinois with Joe Oakes right now. That's nice. That's nice and assuring.
Yeah.
But I think after this experience in the last week and a half, I think now when I experience a synchronicity, I'm going to follow it like a rabbit down a hole. I'm going to follow it and continue to try and expand on it. And I think that did happen, you know, especially like with Hellier when all those synchronicities were happening.
Oh, for sure.
I immediately was like, okay, something's connecting me to the Newkirks. I don't know what it is, but they're my people now. And they are my people now. So like, I think I'm just going to lean in more to synchronicities.
I love that.
Now, just to wrap up the telepathy tapes thing, the skeptics, the critiques, the telepathy tapes has a lot of haters.
Of course it is.
A lot. In the medical and science community, in the skeptic community especially, but even in the autistic community.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Which, I mean, I get.
Sure. Personally, I don't think the hate is granted because I think the show is extremely well done. The way that Ky presents the information is not like, I'm a scientist and this is real science. It's more so like,
here's what's going on.
This evidence is extremely compelling. I think we should be looking into this.
Want to look at it with me? It's not saying end all be all. Yeah. That's what people get wrong constantly.
Yeah.
That's us too. Like we're just saying things.
Yeah, we're just interested in this.
You can say whatever you want.
To write her off as a kook or especially like a charlatan, in my opinion, is pretty bad science. Because she's not presenting things and saying that this is exactly what it is. She's just putting all the pieces together and saying, hey, like, what if it's this?
Sure.
Something I really enjoyed about the show, and I think everyone else will as well, about the telepathy tapes is how much I did learn about the autistic community and the struggles of not only the children, but also the parents and the educators of these nonverbal children. Because one thing I found out is that ASHA, the American Speech, Language, and Hearing Association, is extremely anti-spelling and anti-letterboard for communication.
You did say you were going to come back to the letterboards. Okay.
According to them, it's a dangerous practice because the facilitator could actually be doing the spelling instead of the child. It's called facilitator bias. They don't even know that they're doing it. They don't realize that they are the ones that are guiding the spelling, like a Ouija board.
Yeah.
Like when you're playing with a Ouija board and it moves, you don't realize that you are the one moving the board, even though you are. It feels like...
Which I've always struggled with. If you remember when we did Ouija board, I think on a YouTube video. Also, shout out to Patreon. I'm pretty sure we have a video on there. We did a Ouija board, and the whole time we were doing it, everybody was going, ooh. And I was like, you guys are fucking moving it. Or I am, and I don't even know I am. I am so skeptical about Ouija boards, and you guys know I am a believer on most things. But anyway, I just bring that up to say
I get it.
I can't understand that. That's crazy though. Like I'd never thought of that.
So this is something that can be addressed with the proper training.
Sure.
But that is one reason that they're like, absolutely not.
No letterboards.
The other reason is that letterboards also create a dependence on another person, which could prevent the child from learning to communicate completely independently. But the problem is that this organization is so against these letterboards that even families who have found success with them are completely dismissed like they're fucking lying. So even if they've been able to successfully communicate with their child for the very first time, able to hear their wants and needs, able to ask questions and get answers and answer questions that their children have, after sometimes these kids have spent their entire lives unable to communicate, and these parents are told that they're not allowed to use these boards.
And they just have to figure it out and find out another way to communicate?
I mean, they'll use them at home because, like, they just want to communicate with their kids. Like, duh. But the problem is that then these kids go to school and they're not allowed to use these letterboards. So these children are finally able to communicate effectively to their parents, only to be thrown into a classroom and back into a situation in which they cannot communicate with anyone. It's horrifying. It's so traumatic for them. And especially when you can see them spelling words perfectly, speaking full sentences, performing math that, like, their parents don't know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you say that they're the ones answering these questions when they don't actually know how to do this math?
Right. It's like, how are the parents faking that?
So it's super insane to me that you as an organization can just say, sorry, your kid isn't in there. You're just making up these answers when these are the people who spend their entire waking moments with each other. I think we should listen to the mothers of these kids.
I think they know. That makes me feel ill, honestly.
Right? Especially knowing that, like, they're not mentally handicapped.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like being a locked-in syndrome.
Totally.
They're in there, and they're fully intelligent, and they can't talk.
Yeah, like autism, yeah, it's such a crazy thing. And as an educator, that's why, like, this is so upsetting to me, and, like, it's making me a little emotional. You can cut this out. It's okay, but I'm just like, that is such BS. Like, it is hard to hear.
It's so hard to hear.
I'm like, I have a lot of kids on the spectrum in my school, and they're like the smartest, most amazing kids, but some of them can't speak, and I'm just like, it's just sad.
It's sad.
They're very smart, intuitive kids, and they are going to teach us about the world more than we can teach them anything. So
I swear on everything that when Anthony was talking about how this is the way that humans are going to evolve into, like, speaking telepathically, I honestly, truly believe that the world would be a better place if humans just evolved to only be autistic.
1000%. I'm so
because they are just the best of us.
They just get it. Yes, they are. And they're just like, they're filled with awe and wonder, and like
all the time.
They learn so quickly. Yeah. And they just like, they're so curious, and they don't always know how to communicate or control their impulses. So of course they don't fit into our modern world and the way we have our rules. But I'm like, they are my favorite kids that I teach. And I'm like, I always tell my coworkers, I'm like, they're the future. They're amazing. And like, of course, they can speak telepathically. Like, I'm not even surprised.
I know,
I'm like,
same.
little Mateo at school, who's my favorite kid in the world, who's nonverbal. I'm like, yeah, he can fucking speak to the aliens and everybody else, I'm sure.
That's what's been frustrating, honestly, when trying to find criticism or debunking of the claims that are put forth in the show, because all I can find is people essentially saying, "Nuh-uh, not possible. Nuh-uh."
But why?
And it's like, okay, like no genuine critiques of anything that's going on in the show, especially things that aren't directly addressed in the show.
Yeah.
So many of the critiques I found online are people critiquing the use of letterboards, because a lot of times these children need physical
Get
touch.
over the motherfucking
Seriously,
letterboards.
get fucking over it. A lot of times these children need physical touch in order to do things, because it literally grounds them into their bodies. And I don't think anyone who, first of all, I think you need a level of empathy to understand what that's like.
For sure.
But to them, that touch, whether it's something like a hand on the shoulder, a hand on the neck, one finger to the cheek, whatever it is,
it's helping them.
It's helping them be able to ground themselves in their body and control their motor functions. But to the critics and the skeptics, they're saying, well, the parents are sending messages on like what letter to point to. And it's, first of all, it's like, with a finger? With a finger? With one finger?
That's crazy! That is so wild.
With one finger, they're able to guide their children into talking about fucking collective consciousness and interdimensional time travel? Like, I don't think so. So anyways.
Definitely with their little pointer finger tapping. That's it. Yeah, that is so insane.
But yeah, that's addressed multiple fucking times in the podcast. And I just do not think it negates 30 plus years of evidence that these people seem to have these special abilities. So
not at all.
Pass. The other critique I found is that the podcast is giving false hope to parents of autistic children everywhere. But again, I just feel like in this show, in season 1 alone, they've had season 1. They've also had several episodes of something called the Talk Tracks, which is like additional stuff. They're making a season 2. But in season 1 alone, there are at least 20 to 30 different individuals interviewed, and they genuinely believe their experiences. And I think it's fucking criminal to say that these people who have never met each other before all have these similar experiences with their children, have all decided to lie about their children for, I don't know, so maybe someday they can be on an independent podcast that pays them no money. Like, what are you talking about?
Can't wait for their story to be on an indie podcast one day. Like, let me just tell all these lies. No.
So I have tried to find legitimate criticism of the show, and there's just nothing out there right now.
And I love that, because I mean, that is something you and I both do, is it's like we speak for both sides always. We love bringing these stories, the green children of Woolpit and synchronicities, but it's like we are going to present both sides to you. But in this case, the other side is just a bunch of assholes. To be honest.
It's just a bunch of people who like didn't listen to the show or are okay with calling people liars, I guess.
Yeah, it's okay to have questions. It's okay to want to learn more, of fucking course. But I love this story so much otherwise. Obviously, I cried my eyes out. That was great.
I agree with the criticisms of the show in regards to like not being able to prove that these children are reading the minds of these facilitators. Like, of course, like it's not proof. But I don't think you can automatically disprove the fact that these children have had instances where, one, they knew someone was dead before their facilitator did. They were able to describe other nonverbal friends before actually meeting or seeing them in real life. They were able to express all these extraordinary ideas that their facilitators are not versed in. These moms and these teachers are not aware of collective consciousness. They don't read books on vibrational frequencies and interdimensional travel. They don't listen to Keep It Weird. So not everything is coming from these facilitators.
Yeah, that's so true.
And if it is, that in itself is a strange phenomenon that deserves study.
Yes.
What are we doing here?
It's like, well, let's look into that. Why are you not looking into any other thing besides like, this is my educational line and I can only learn, like, look at other types of studies.
Yeah.
Like, look at the world around you, study other things, look at other possibilities, because autism is something we are learning something about
Every minute
constantly.
of every day.
It's changing all the time. And that is, again, why I get emotional and why I'm a psychopath is because as an educator, like, I'm still taking classes online to like further my early childhood education, especially learn about kids with special needs, because we're getting so many more nowadays. Not that they haven't existed, we're just finally accepting it.
Yeah.
That also took a long time,
Hmm.
America.
Hello.
And so we are like doing so much more study on it, and I'm so fascinated by it, and I'm looking to everything, and I'm like, I'm sure there's so many ways of communication, things that they feel vibrationally that we can't even imagine because their senses are on another level that we're not on.
Yeah. The telepathy tapes doesn't only cover nonverbal autistic children. They have studies from the 70s with a parrot.
A
that
parrot?
Also somehow had a strange telepathic connection to its owner and sometimes would see the things that she saw, even though they were in different rooms.
Whoa.
The show, it focuses on the idea of consciousness and what consciousness is, and how some people who do not have the ability to communicate via speech seem to be able to utilize consciousness in ways that those of us who can speak aren't able to. Or some of us can. Mediums do it all the time.
I was going to say, yeah, some of us can. Yeah, just not all of us are in tune with it. But I kind of love, I mean, I feel like that's another thing we've talked about, which this could go like totally sidetracked. And I know we have to wrap it up, but like we talk about how when like one sense is down in the body, like another one is so heightened that sometimes it like is so heightened it's picking up on other things. And I wonder if it's like that. But in the sense of autism, it's like if you're nonverbal, that's one thing and your speech is gone, so maybe other things are heightened, but also your intelligence level is so intense for the, usually in most cases, I'm not speaking for everyone,
Right.
but it's like if your intelligence level plus being nonverbal are coming together, I can't imagine what
Who
you
knows
could
what
be
they're capable
experiencing,
of?
because I do, yeah, I'm just like everything must be heightened. So that's why this makes so much sense to me. And like the kids that I work with, I am very much all the time like, you have superpowers. Like there are things happening in their brain, and I swear sometimes they can read my mind, which isn't always great because I'm usually thinking horrible things about another kid, not them. But I'm like, this asshole over here keeps kicking me. I need to get rid of him.
And they're like, kill Tony.
Kill him.
I do hope our listeners as well will continue to send us their synchronicities connected to our show.
Oh my gosh, please.
We get emails and messages all the time. I wrote this one down just as an example so you guys know what I'm talking about. But Bailey Michelle from July of last year, she messaged us. What's up, Bailey? She messaged us to introduce herself in July of last year. So this is crazy. She was listening to season 4. She was driving to meet a friend in the city for dinner, and she decided at the time she was going to skip forward 2 episodes because she was listening to season 4 and it was our body modification episodes. And she was like, I'm going to skip these. I don't want to ruin my appetite. I'm going out to eat.
Fair enough, yeah.
The next episodes was our circus episodes.
Also maybe a little gross.
A little bit, but it's fun. So she was listening to the circus episode the whole drive in. And as she was pulling into this restaurant that she had never been to, she was greeted by an enormous big top circus tent in the mall parking lot directly behind the restaurant.
Ooh,
And she was like, I don't think I'd seen an actual circus tent in like 2 decades.
In forever.
And I'm listening to your show
Oh my
in the
gosh,
circus episodes, and
Bailey.
I pull up to a circus. So please continue to send us stories like this.
I love that.
I want to save them. I want to build on these synchronicities so we can all experience the wonder of the universe.
Because I think we experience a lot of this.
We do.
And people just aren't always saying anything. So like, I promise we will not be annoyed. Send it in.
Send it
like,
in.
please. Because I love that.
Yeah.
I love Bailey being like, why was there a circus tent? What? Hello?
And I think that's something that really connected us to, like we said earlier, Hellier. That little thing was like, okay, I should be listening to the show. Why should I be listening to this show? Maybe we just give her a nugget of wisdom that helps her along the way.
Right.
Maybe we become friends later on in life. Like something's happening. Pay attention to it. You and I usually will just text about stuff and be like, oh my God, can you believe this connection? Da 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 da. I want to bring them to the show. Super Synchronicities. My very last synchronicity for today has to do with the title of this segment. I wanted to do a segment on synchronicities, and most of the time I just look for rhymes. And for some reason, Jamiroquai's Virtual Insanity popped into my head and would not get out. So I turned it into this show's made of super synchronicity. Well, here are a few random lyrics to Virtual Insanity. Always seem to be governed by this love we have for useless twisting of our new technology. Oh, now there is no sound, for we all live underground. And I'm thinking what a mess we're in, hard to know where to begin, if I could slip the sickly ties the earthly man has made. The song is literally about the dangers of being constantly connected to technology and our obsession with material possessions, and we're losing our connection to each other and the earth.
And you were like, that's a fun tune. Oh my God. Ashley.
So anyways, that's all the time we have this week for Keep It Weird. I'm so excited to start paying more attention to these bad boys.
I know, and like writing down everything. And I wish we had in our early seasons.
We've had hundreds.
Absolutely hundreds, even from across the country, like on Zoom. But when we used to sit on the couch together, I felt like shit happened all the time. Totally. And we'd be like, that was the creepiest fucking thing that ever happened.
While we spin the wheel to let fate decide what we're going to do to end this episode today, I just want to remind everyone to follow us on social media at Keep It Weirdcast. Follow our TikTok or Keep It Weird podcast on TikTok. The threat of TikTok being shut down every 70 days is going to be a really fun ride. Join us on that, won't you? Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Keep It Weird Podcast, and join our Patreon at patreon.com/Keep It Weird Podcast. Bonus episodes, discounts on merch, free tarot card readings, and you can sponsor a segment of the show, which is
pretty badass.
Pretty cool. Every time we do that segment, we'll mention your name. Okay, are you ready? We're going to spin the wheel. Hive mind. It's hive mind. Okay, how do you want to do this? Would you like to send me the mind message? Would you like me to send you? No, because we lose
either way.
Or no, one of us has to send it to the other.
I don't remember where we've had more success. I think both are terrible, so
I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to send you a shape.
So there's no triangles.
There are no triangles. The shapes that we have: star, squiggly line,
waves,
circle, plus sign, and square. Try to join me on the same vibrational frequency. Okay.
It's so unfortunate that you were talking about synchronicities and this is what our thing is, because all the listeners are going to be like, well, they better be synced up.
Turning on some 432 hertz.
Oh.
Here we go. Feel my message.
Square.
Were you guessing or did you see it in your mind's eye?
No. Okay. No one will believe me
Oh,
because
it's a square, by the way, for the people that are listening. Sorry.
Oh yeah, if you're just doing audio, it was a fucking square. No one will believe me because I went square, and I said it not in confidence, but it's because I'm so used to us being wrong. I swear and I swear to God,
Swear to God.
I made a blank space in my mind, and I kept seeing a gray square. Not even like that square, it was a gray square, but to me, that was the blank space, so I wasn't even thinking like square. I kept looking, and I was like, no, gray square, give me like plus sign, squiggly line, like where's my shape? And all that was popping up was gray square, so I was finally like, it's a square, I guess.
It is a square. We are psychic.
We are the synchronicities, and come to us for all answers of the universe.
Well, we'll see you very soon. We love you very much. And until next time, keep
Keep
it
it
weird.